All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into something absolutely central to Christian theology. But man, is it often misunderstood? We're talking about law versus grace.
So the sermon we're diving into kicks things off with this one single verse. And wow, does it set the stage. You've got this incredible contrast that people have wrestled with for, centuries. You've got Moses and the law on one side, and on the other, Jesus Christ, bringing grace and truth.
Okay, so what's the big deal, right? Why does this even matter? Well, according to the sermon we're breaking down, this is not just some dusty old theological debate. Getting this right, apparently, gets to the absolute core of the Christian faith.
And hey, this isn't some new debate. We're talking about something that goes way back. I mean, listen to Martin Luther, the famous Protestant reformer. He basically said that if you can truly understand the difference between law and gospel, well, you're a true theologian. That's a pretty high bar.
So, before building its main argument, the source kind of lays some groundwork. It points out two really common mistakes people make that can, lead to a completely warped version of the gospel.
So you've got these two ditches on either side of the road. On one side, you've got legalism. This is where you mush law and grace all together. The gospel kind of turns into a new to-do list, where you have to earn your salvation through good works. Then, on the other side of the road, you've got the complete opposite, antinomianism. This creates a total wall between law and grace. The law is just seen as this old, scary thing that has nothing to do with the Christian life today.
All right, now let's get into the core of the argument from our source, and it all starts by establishing a really clear pecking order, if you will. Jesus Christ is supreme over Moses, period.
Okay, check this out. I think this is fascinating. Look at how the source breaks this down. Moses, he's described as a faithful servant in the house. But Christ, he's the son over the house. It's a huge difference. And notice the verbs, too. The law was given by Moses. He was the delivery guy, the instrument. But grace and truth, they came by Jesus. Why? Because he is the source.
And the sermon just keeps building this case. It points out that Christ, as the eternal creator, is obviously greater than Moses. That he's the real bread from heaven, not the manna Moses provided. You see the pattern here? Every single point is driving home that same core idea. Moses was the messenger, the instrument, but Christ is the source.
So, to really get what's going on here, we have to be clear on our terms. When the source talks about the law of Moses, what does that actually mean? Because it's probably a lot bigger than what you're thinking.
Yeah, according to this sermon, we're not just talking about the 10 Commandments. The law is like a nickname for the whole shebang, the entire system, the whole way of life God set up through Moses. We're talking worship, social rules, ceremonies, everything that defined that Old Testament covenant.
And this is where we hit a really crucial point in the argument. It would be a huge mistake to think the Old Testament was just this grace-free zone. That's not the picture at all.
I mean, just look at the evidence this source pulls up. You've got God himself saying he's merciful and gracious. You have the New Testament writers pointing out that Old Testament figures were saved by faith. You've got the Psalms calling the law perfect and the truth. So yeah, grace and truth were absolutely there, woven all through the Old Testament.
Okay, so here's the million-dollar question then. If the Old Testament already had grace and truth, what's the big contrast in John 1:17 all about? What's the real difference? This is where it all clicks into place.
The source frames it like this. It's all about promise versus fulfillment. Think of the Old Testament system, all the sacrifices, all the ceremonies, as a collection of shadows or previews, all pointing forward to something real that was coming. But the law had another job too. It acted like a perfect high-definition mirror. And when people looked into it, it showed them their sin. It showed them there was no way they could ever be perfect on their own.
And the sermon brings up this really powerful analogy from the Apostle Paul. He called the law a schoolmaster. Now, back then, that was like a guardian or a tutor whose whole job was to get a child safely to their teacher. That's what the law did. Its main purpose was to lead people straight to Christ by showing them just how much they needed a savior.
So if you want to boil it all down, it's like this. The law shows you the disease. It's the diagnosis. It perfectly exposes the problem of sin. But grace provides the cure. It's the solution that comes through Jesus Christ, offering the forgiveness that the law could only ever demand, but never give.
So in the end, the source really pushes for us to see the Bible as one single unfolding story. The Old Testament isn't some separate, angry book. It's the foundation. It's setting the stage. Which kind of leaves us with a big question to chew on, doesn't it? If the Old Testament is a Christian book filled with these hints and shadows of Jesus on every page, well, how does that change the way we read it?